Hi, welcome to this tutorial, and in this tutorial I'm going to show you how to use a object-oriented programming technique called late static binding in PHP. One of the useful reasons for knowing this technique is it allows you to write the code once in a parent class and allows you to access different types of data in the child class to elicit different values from the database, for example. So what I'm going to show you is creating separate databases, separate tables for separate child classes, and showing you how those different table data entries are accessed using the late static binding method from the parent from the code written once in the parent class. So to do that, I'm going to first create a I'm going to first create a new database called late static binding 3. And in here I'm going to create two tables, one called pets, two columns, make it real simple. ID for the auto incremental primary index, and column called pet. Save this. Hold on one second. Let's create 225. That should work. I'm just going to change this back to variable characters. I don't know why, but my PHP admin is kind of acting weird right now. Okay, so we have a table called pets with two columns, one called ID and one called pet. And we're going to insert a couple variables in here. We're going to insert 5. So pet is going to be cat, dog, fish, hamster, bird. So if we go back to browse, we have 5 entries in here. So we have 5 entries in a table called pets. Now we're going to create a second table called shapes. Create an ID, auto increment features, and a column called shape, variable characters. Save. Again, I'm not sure why that's not working, but I'm just going to create that. Change it back to variable characters. And so we have a table called shapes with 2 columns. First is the ID and the second column is the shape column. Now we're going to insert 5 different shapes. Octagon, pentagon, square, triangle, oval. Press go, and if we go back to browse, we have 5 different shapes in our table called shapes. So now that we have the table set, we have one database called late static binding 3, and we have 2 tables inside this database, one called pets and one called shapes, and each has 5 different values. One has 5 pets and one has 5 shapes in it. Now we're going to create one single method in the parent class that can be used to access the values separately in each of these tables in two different child classes. So the first thing we're going to do is we are going to create a PHP file, and the first thing we're going to do is create a class called database, so that we can access the database. So we're going to have a public variable called connection, and we're going to have a construct function, and it's going to be this. It's going to access another function called open database connection. Actually, we can create this here all together. This connection is going to be a new object called MySQLi localhost, username root, password is empty, and database name is late static binding 3. If I just double check that, late static binding 3. Next, we're going to create another method called another public method called query. So public function query, so that we can run the SQL statement. It's going to have a variable called SQL, and result is equal to this connection query SQL, and then return the result. Next, we're going to instantiate the database class so that we can access the connection, and run the queries. So database variable is equal to new database class. And then we're going to create a new class called functions. So in this class, we're going to have the code that's going to be written once to be accessing data from both child classes that we're going to write soon after. So here we're going to create a public function called findAll, public method called findAll. It's going to be static so that we don't have to instantiate it later on. FindAll, and just going to access the global variable database. SQL query is going to be select everything from late static binding table. So we're going to have a variable called table in the child class that's going to contain the table name, and the result is going to be database query SQL. Next, we're going to create a for each statement. Where we're going to have result as result, and echo the result column name, which is going to be static table column. So we're going to have a variable called table column in the child class individually, and then we're just going to enter a echo break tag. And then we're going to create the first child class called pets, and it extends the parent class functions, and it has the two protected static variables, one containing the table name and one containing the table column name. So protected static table is equal to pets, and protected static table column is equal to pet. So if we go back to so if we create a static method for this called pets find all, we will get 5 different entries exported from the pet table. So if we go like this, we have cat, dog, fish, hamster, and bird, which is the same as what we have in the table: cat, dog, fish, hamster, and bird. Next, we can do the same thing for the shapes class. So class shapes extends parent class functions, and again we're going to create protected static variable table called shapes and protected static variable table column called shape. And if we enter a few break tags and then do the same thing, pet shapes static method find all, then we should have the 5 shapes: octagon, pentagon, square, triangle, oval. If we go back to shapes, it's octagon, pentagon, square, triangle, oval. So that's how you usually create use late static binding to code the function or the method once in the parent class and use it separately in its child classes to access data from 2 different tables in the same database. So that's late static binding, and I hope you found this tutorial useful. Thank you for watching. Bye.